In this section, we're going to be looking at slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines are lines in the same plane that do not intersect. When we look at this graph here, we can see that we have two parallel lines, the yellow and green line, because they do not intersect each other and are parallel to each other. So let's look at some examples. We have the equation y equals 4 over 3x plus 3. And we have another equation, y equals 4 over 3x minus 5. These two equations are parallel graphs because their slopes, which are both 4 over 3, are the same. And because the slopes are the same, these lines are parallel. Let's look at another example of this. We have y equals 2, and we have y equals negative 3. Both of these graphs would have zero slope and have vertical lines. Because they both have 0 as their slope, they are parallel lines. Now we're going to be looking at perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect to form right angles of 90 degrees. So as you look at the graph, you can see that's what perpendicular lines look like. They form 90-degree angles. Now let's look at some examples of this. We have x equals negative 2, and we have y equals 1. Y equals 1 is going to have a 0 slope, and it's going to be a horizontal line. X equals negative 2 is going to be a vertical line. Therefore, they intersect each other in a right angle, forming a 90-degree angle. So they are perpendicular to each other. And when you look at the graph, you can see that they are perpendicular to each other. Now we're going to look at another example of this. We have y equals negative 4x and y plus 2 equals 1/4 parentheses x plus 1. Let's look at the first equation. The first equation is still in point slope form, except it doesn't have a y-intercept. So we know that negative 4 represents the m, which is the slope. So if the first line has a slope of negative 4. The second equation is in point slope form, and the 1/4 is in the place of the m. So 1/4 is the slope of the second line. The product of the slopes of two equations is negative 1 if they are perpendicular. So let's multiply negative 4 times 1/4. We get negative 4 over 4, which equals negative 1. So we know that indeed they are perpendicular to each other. Now we're going to look at an example of writing equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. We know that a line passes through the point 4, 5, and is parallel to the line described by y equals 5x plus 10. So first we want to find the slope. We can see that the equation is in point slope form, so m is going to be in the place of 5, so 5 is going to be the slope. So slope equals 5. Now we're going to start by writing the equation in point slope form. So y minus y1, which in this case is 5, equals the slope, which is 5, parentheses, x minus x1, which in this case is 4. Now we want to bring this into slope-intercept form. So let's start by distributing the 5. 5 times x is going to be 5x. 5 times negative 4 is going to be negative 20. Now we want to isolate the y, so we have to add 5 to the left side. Add 5 to the left side means you have to add 5 to the right. So when we add 5 to the left, the 5's cancel out, leaving us with only y. So y equals 5x minus 15. We have now found the equation of a line that is parallel to y equals 5x plus 10 and intersects the points 4, 5.